In the future, only Arya is gonna ride in my car. That was the cringy, overly romantic line he proposed with, and we got married. However, 5 years into our marriage, I've never once ridden in that luxury car he bought new. Listen, don't forget, I work at a top company and drive the finest cars. Which do you think has more value, Arya's dear friend's wedding or my time? I think you know the answer without me saying. I can understand John valuing his time. But that doesn't mean it's okay to belittle my dear friend. I quietly put my phone down on the table, still recording the screen. Because the two of them started their affair again. Give me a break. You're not as special as you think you are. Even if you can work and drive a fancy car, you're just trash. Guarding your ridiculously high pride and failing to protect anything truly important. It would be better if you lost everything. Certainly, a life with nothing left awaits you. A luxury car that's expensive but lacks substance, just like you. Ride it straight to hell. I am Arya Brown, 43 years old. 5 years ago, I married John, who is 3 years younger than me. Compared to my introverted, indoor-loving self, John was sociable, handsome, and full of confidence. We met at a car show, of all places. I was there helping out as an event staff at the request of my best friend, Layla. That's where John, who boasted of his unparalleled love for cars, struck up a conversation with me. Initially, I just went along with it, and we ended up going on several dates. Arya, you're not like the other women around me. Approaching 40, with hardly any romantic experiences, I caught the attention of John, who began saying things like that. Our dates were mostly drives in his prized car. If you hadn't met me, Arya, you would never have gotten to ride in such a nice car's passenger seat, right? Despite some concerning comments, it was indeed true. Perhaps someone dark like me fits well with a somewhat forceful, confident type like John. Still, John said he liked my appearance. My short stature and my not-so-feminine, too thin figure seemed to hit the spot for him. And my reserved personality seemed to perfectly complement his confidence. You make me feel like my true self. From now on, only Arya will ride in my car. With such a cheesy line, he proposed, and we got married. 5 years into our marriage, John had achieved 2 of his long-standing dreams. One was employment at an up-and-coming, highly regarded startup. Until then, John had been just a salesman. But he was looking for a new job, feeling that staying in his current position would bury his talents or something like that. I didn't want John to end up unemployed, so I introduced him to a job opening. John really liked the company's philosophy and quickly put together a digital resume to apply. He got the job as a sales representative, which made me happy to have been able to help. However, he made it clear to me, just for the record, it wasn't thanks to Arya that I got this job, okay? I carved out this path on my own and was chosen by the company. Don't go thinking it was your doing. I wasn't thinking it was my achievement, and if John wanted to believe that, it was fine by me. But there's no doubt I felt the burden of his excessive pride. Another dream of his was buying the luxury car he had always admired since his youth. The cars he had driven until then were also quite luxurious and chosen with great care. But the dream car he had longed for was on a whole other level, costing many times more. A vehicle that every car enthusiast dreams of, with a name value so high that even I, who am not knowledgeable about cars, felt intimidated upon hearing its name. John had tried to save for it since he was young, but his social nature got in the way, and he wasn't even able to prepare the down payment. In contrast, I, being more of a homebody who only indulged in occasional lunches with my friend Layla at cafes, had quite a bit saved up. To celebrate John's re-employment, I paid the down payment and took out a loan to give him that luxury car. After giving it to him, I worried if I had hurt his pride, wondering if he had wanted to earn the car himself. But he was overjoyed, saying, "This is all thanks to having you as my wife, Arya." Thank you, which relieved my worries. Getting a job at a high-profile startup and acquiring a luxury car that everyone envies boosted John's confidence to the highest level. Prioritizing the security of his car, we moved to a place with a spacious parking lot. And under John's peculiar belief that renting looks poor, we bought a house, of course. Funded entirely by me. The company John joined, being a startup, mainly operated through remote work. To respect his work, I set up a dedicated office space for him at home. Yet, for some reason, John still left in his prized luxury car today. There are some deals you just can't close without meeting face to face. You just enjoyed chatting with your geeky introvert friends at home. He left with such a parting shot, which I watched with mixed feelings. I didn't mind what he said about me, but I couldn't understand his demeaning comments about my friends. It's inevitable. To someone living the high life like John, we're just that. Today, I was having lunch with my best friend Layla. We've been friends since our school days, and of course, I've consulted her on everything about John. When I first told her about marrying John, she cried tears of joy as if it were her own happiness. We often reminisced about our school days over meals. By the way, how's Aiden doing? Haven't seen him in a while. He seems busy with work. Aiden is Layla's husband and, like her, a friend from our school days. They attended the same college and started a business together after graduating. They had been business partners for years before finally getting married 6 months ago. He's doing well. No matter how busy he is, he never skips a meal. I packed him a big lunch today. Layla said, her usual radiant, healthy, and happy self. Layla and Aiden's company is doing well, and I've been involved in illustration and design work for them. Both personally and professionally, Layla and Aiden are dear friends to me. Pausing her lunch for a moment, Layla said to me a bit sheepishly. So, we've decided to have a wedding ceremony. Just a small one, inviting people who've been there for us. We'd love for you and John to attend. I knew they had decided their marriage 6 months ago but had postponed the wedding due to their busy schedules. I felt an unprecedented joy at Layla's invitation. Thank you, Layla. We'll definitely be there, I said, and we parted ways for the day. At dinner, I mentioned Layla's wedding to John. She's a dear friend of mine, and I want us to go together. After thinking for a bit, John said, Is this friend of yours someone fitting for me to attend their wedding? I was initially puzzled by what John meant. Fitting for him to attend? Such a phrase didn't exist in my dictionary for 43 years. Layla and Aiden are very important friends of mine. I wanted to introduce you to them. Finishing his meal, John stood up and said, Listen, don't forget, I work at a top-tier company and drive the finest cars. In a world where everyone needs me, attending a less-than-average wedding is just a waste of my time. You get that? Between the wedding of Aria's dear friend and my time, which do you think has more value? I think you know the answer without me saying it. This time, I'll make an exception and attend. But you'll handle the wedding gift. With that, he went back to his office. I was speechless at John's words. I can understand John valuing his time. But that doesn't give him the right to belittle my dear friends. Honestly, I've been feeling increasingly fed up with John's attitude and comments lately. Sure, John is competent at his job, looks good, and is sociable with many friends. It's no exaggeration to say I'm the complete opposite of him. But the world doesn't revolve around John. I cannot tolerate his disdainful remarks about my friends. And there's something else I can't understand. I've never once ridden in John's new luxury car. He usually says, it's for entertaining clients or going to meetings, and won't let me ride. On weekends, he says, I ended up drinking from the morning and instead of driving, spends the day washing the car. Always waiting for neighbors to say, what a nice car you have. That's actually pretty lame. I muttered under my breath, so John couldn't hear. Today is Layla and Aiden's wedding. I'm wearing a luxurious dress that I don't usually wear. This was after John said, make sure you dress in a way that won't embarrass me by your side, so I got it new. I thought since the main focus should be on the bride and groom, such an assertive outfit wasn't necessary. But, to avoid John getting upset and possibly not attending the ceremony, I obediently complied. John was dressed in a brand-name suit, acting as if he were the main character of the day. And I had believed that just for today, John would let me ride in his luxury car. However, we ended up taking a taxi to the wedding venue. Driving the luxury car to a regular person's wedding venue and risking it getting scratched is the last thing I need. Ordinary people are barbaric and jealous of celebrities, was his reasoning. Feeling I had no choice but to empty my mind, I entered the venue with a smile on my face. The wedding venue for Layla and Aiden was a charming chapel within a hotel. John and I sat side by side on chairs. It seemed other friends from our school days were also in attendance. Then, John beside me let out a small sigh. I hate how women get all excited in places like this. You're sitting with me, so your classmates must be envious. Isn't that great? Despite his words, no one was actually paying John any attention. The joyous voices were merely old classmates happy to see each other again. Soon, the ceremony began with the declaration. And then Aiden, the groom, made his entrance. Dressed in a white suit, he walked confidently. Seeing Aiden's dignified appearance after so long moved me to tears. Surprisingly, John next to me also covered his mouth, tears welling up in his eyes. Then Layla, the bride, entered arm in arm with her father. Cheers of joy erupted from the venue at the sight of Layla in her beautiful wedding dress. She moved from her father's side to stand next to Aiden. I couldn't stop my tears during the ceremony. John, not wanting his tears to be seen, turned away from me, trembling slightly. For the first time, I saw a human side to John and felt truly glad to be here with him today. Then came the time for everyone to sing hymns. Accompanied by the pipe organ, the attendees sang together. Amidst their voices, John whispered in my ear, "Sorry, Arya. I'm feeling a bit under the weather, so I'll head back first. You stay and celebrate with your friends. You can even attend the reception and stay at the hotel with the other classmates if you want." Saying this, he discreetly left the venue. Worried about John, I thought about leaving when the ceremony transitioned to the reception. However, I received a message from him on my phone. "It's okay, I can rest better alone. Don't worry about coming back." With such insistence, I couldn't possibly leave. He must be tired from work. Understanding that he could rest more comfortably alone made sense to me. I was glad he attended the ceremony despite his reluctance and even shed tears of emotion. This time, I decided to respect what John had to say. It was also a valuable time for me, getting to reunite with other friends, so I took them up on their offer and enjoyed the wedding. Held during the day, it ended in the early evening. At the exit of the venue, Layla and Aiden, the bride and groom, were seeing off the guests. When Layla noticed me, she rushed over in her dress and hugged me energetically. "Arya, thank you for coming." "Oh? Where's John?" She looked puzzled at John's absence. "Actually, he left early because he wasn't feeling well. He should be resting at home now. I'm sorry we couldn't stay till the end even though you invited us," I explained, mentioning that John said he'd rest better alone, and apologized to Layla and Aiden. Layla firmly told me, "Don't worry about it. Go home right now? We can always meet up again, so please be there for John. He's just pretending to be okay being alone. When people are tired, they need someone with them." Indeed, I had sent several messages to John during the reception, but none were read. I hoped he was just sleeping, but there was always the fear that his condition might have worsened. That kind of worry was always there. "Let's plan a reunion sometime and all meet up again. So, go take care of your husband." After Aiden said that, I thanked them both and hurried home. On their special day, yet they cared for me, filling me with gratitude towards my best friends. I wondered if John was okay. John, usually so resilient, rarely fell ill. Even on days when he drank a lot, he never suffered from hangovers. Perhaps I should have gone home with him when he said he wasn't feeling well. With slight regret, I got out of the taxi at the alley leading to our house. From a distance, I could see John's luxury car parked. He must be at home. Hoping nothing serious had happened, I approached the house with a prayer in my heart. As I got closer, I noticed something strange. The house was dark, and John's luxury car was parked in front of it, shaking unnaturally as though someone was inside. I couldn't immediately understand why. Could someone be inside? I considered the possibility of an animal's doing. Cautiously approaching, I confirmed there was no one around the car. Then, peering into the windows, which were faintly tinted, I asked, "Is someone there?" Inside, I could barely make out the silhouette of a person. Looking closer, I nearly let out a loud scream but covered my mouth just in time. Inside the car, there was John. But he wasn't alone. An unfamiliar woman was with him. Shockingly, neither of them were clothed. John was on top of the woman, who was letting out moans, with the seat reclined fully, performing movements that rocked the large vehicle significantly. This was unmistakably an intimate encounter between a man and a woman. They hadn't noticed me, completely engrossed in each other. Quietly, I stepped away from the car and entered the house, wrapping my trembling body as if to hold myself together. Sitting on the living room sofa, I remained in the dark. There was no mistaking what I saw. It was indeed John. Was his claim of not feeling well a lie? And who was that woman? Many questions surfaced, but my mind couldn't keep up. Was this infidelity? Was John seeing another woman besides me? It was then I realized, I need to gather evidence. With the little capacity I had, I thought hard. I couldn't stop crying. While crying, I remembered something. John's luxury car was equipped with a new dashcam at the time of purchase. This dashcam, at John's request, also had a theft prevention feature. Even when parked and unmanned, as long as it was within Wi-Fi range, it could be accessed via smartphone to view inside and outside the car. John and I had installed the app on our phones to enable theft prevention anytime. With trembling hands, I launched the app. I didn't want to see it, but I knew I had to get through this. The car's interior appeared on my smartphone screen. John and the woman were still engaged in their act. My heart felt like it was going to burst. I turned on the screen recording and turned up the volume of the speaker. The woman's moans stopped, and the two ceased their movements. John lit a cigarette and seemed to start a conversation. You know, today, I was dragged to my wife's friend's wedding. Just went through the motions, you know, but man, it was unbearable. I doubted my ears at his words. What was so unbearable? And yet today, he had tears in his eyes. I listened to what John continued to say. Wasn't expecting much since it was my wife's friend. But man, when the groom came out, I almost burst out laughing. Shocked at how someone could get so fat, ruining the suit. John spoke with a smirk, and the woman laughed along, which made my anger rise. And I was hoping the bride would at least be decent, but no luck there, as hefty as the groom. The dress was so tight I thought it would burst. Hilarious, really. Trying to hold back my laughter only made me cry more, it was so hard. After the vows and almost bursting into laughter at the kiss, I had to tell my wife and leave early. Thinking to myself, I'm too kind, on my way home. I quietly placed my smartphone on the table while it was still recording because the two had resumed their affair. After they finished talking, the two began their affair again. From the dark living room window, I quietly looked out at the parking lot. The car was still unnaturally shaking. No wonder he insisted it was okay for me not to come back. He must have decided to meet this woman as soon as he left the ceremony. I remembered John's proposal words. In my future life, I will only have Arya in my car. Which mouth did he say that with? Far from being the only one allowed in his car, I've never even ridden in it. The luxury car I purchased with a do-or-die attitude for John seems to have been the perfect setting for his affairs. I felt a quiet yet intense anger boiling within me, more so than before. I am aware that I'm somewhat dull and lack any special talents, less than an ordinary person. Yet, being chosen by John and being able to support him was also my pride. I've tried not to feel anything about being looked down upon or disregarded by John, thinking it's just because I am his wife. But I will not tolerate him belittling my dear friends. John is too ignorant of their greatness. He doesn't even try to know. He thinks he is the only special one, the only one deserving of privilege. Give me a break. You're not as special as you think. Even if you can work and drive a luxury car, you're just trash. Protecting your ridiculously high pride without preserving anything truly important. It would be better if you lost everything. Certainly, a life with nothing left awaits you. A luxury car that's expensive but lacks substance, just like you. Ride it straight to hell. In the smartphone screen, after several acts, John and the woman fell asleep, still embracing. Being forced to watch such a scene only made me feel nauseous, so I decided to close the app. Then, with a head that had strangely become calm, I started thinking about the future. Divorce was the only option for me. I could no longer stay with him. The moment I made that decision, a melody indicating an incoming call played from my smartphone. Arya. Is John okay? The caller was Layla. On her own wedding day, she called to check on me. Truly a kind and wonderful friend. Hearing Layla's voice, tears I thought had stopped started flowing again. Layla! Unable to hold back, I told Layla everything I had seen. Layla reacted with shock occasionally but listened to me until the end. Layla, I'm sorry. I've spoiled your special day with such a story. Can we celebrate another day? Please give my regards to Aiden as well. As I was about to end the call, Layla shouted through the phone. Unforgivable! How dare someone hurt my dear friend like this? Arya, you absolutely must not forgive him. Aiden and I are coming over right now. Wait for us. The call ended abruptly, and within minutes, Layla called again. She was nearby in an alley, asking if I could come quietly. After confirming that John and the woman were sound asleep in the luxury car, I went to meet Layla in the alley. There, Aiden, Layla, and, to my surprise, there were 2 cars. This is Aiden's car, and this one is mine. Arya, don't worry. I have a good plan. I listened to Layla's strategy. Agreeing with it, Aiden, Layla, and I executed the plan. First, Layla slowly entered my property with her car, stopping just before the parking lot. She turned off the engine and left the car in neutral before getting out. Then, she gently pushed the car so its rear wheels would turn, parking it snugly beside John's car. They parked it snugly beside John's car. Next, Aiden's car was maneuvered in the same way, but this time parked on the opposite side of Layla's car. Aiden's larger vehicle took a bit of effort, but we managed to execute the plan without waking the 2 inside. Finally, I moved my own car, which had been parked behind the house. It was the car I've loved for years, but John had told me, it's embarrassing for my wife to drive a cheap car like that. It looks poor. As a result, I've barely driven it in the past 5 years, except for vehicle inspections. I parked my beloved car in front of John's car, effectively forming a U-shape with Aiden and Layla's cars. With the house wall at the back, John's car was completely immobilized by our 3 cars. Inside, John and the woman were still embracing, sound asleep. Layla, Aiden, I'm sorry for involving you in this, especially on your wedding day. As I said this, both shook their heads and offered warm words. What are you talking about? You're important to us. We had a great time at our wedding and are satisfied. We're planning to have a reunion with everyone else, so don't worry at all. Aiden also added, Arya, you've been strong. I'm sorry, I couldn't notice. We want you to be happy. Their 2 kind words made my eyes teary again. Since it was late, I offered Layla and Aiden to rest at my house. It was past 2 a.m., and there was no reaction from John. He likely hadn't realized yet that the car was immobilized. Considering they hadn't woken up, it's natural to assume they continued their activities after awakening. I've grown sick of even looking at the dashcam footage, so I just left it on auto record and let it be. I can't stay in my car forever, so sooner or later, I expect some sort of reaction from John. In the meantime, I decided to rest my exhausted body on the soft bed for the day. John's reaction came with the sunrise. At the time when the sun was about to shine through the gap in the curtains, my smartphone started ringing loudly. The screen displayed John. Took him longer than I thought. Layla said as she came out of the guest room, with Aiden following behind. Both of them seemed excited, even if just a little. Inwardly, I was thrilled too. I was looking forward to seeing how John would dig his own grave. As soon as I answered the phone, John's angry voice blasted in my ear. Hey! Arya, what the hell have you done? Your cheap car is right in front of me, and I can't move mine. I'm blocked on both sides by walls, what's going on? Don't mess with me. Walls? Oh, he must be talking about Layla and Aiden's cars that were parked beside mine yesterday. He's probably yelling out the window. I could hear John's voice even from outside the house. Just calm down and wait a minute. Since I didn't want to disturb the neighbors, I decided to go to John. When Layla, Aiden, and I went to the parking lot in front of the house, John and a woman were making a fuss inside the car. Hey Arya! Move your car already! Hurry up! I wonder if he realizes what's happening. Sighing, I told John. I get it. But maybe put on your clothes first? At my words, John and the woman hurriedly started putting on their clothes. It was too ridiculous. Changing clumsily inside a luxury car. Did John buy this car just to do things like this? If so, that's so low it's not even funny. While I said I would move the car, I had no intention of doing so, and John and the woman were losing their patience. Hey! If you don't get us out of here soon, I'm calling the cops. They were so annoying that I started moving the car by hand, just like when I parked it. That's when John noticed Layla and Aiden. Oh. It's the couple from yesterday's wedding. The ones you were talking about, the plump couple that made me want to burst out laughing. John pointed at Layla and Aiden, laughing with the woman beside him. Anger welled up in me again, and I almost stopped moving the car. John, thinking he's the center of the universe, hurled more insults at Layla and Aiden. Hey! You're in on this with Arya, aren't you? Peasants below the average Joe, jealous of me, huh? Dreaming of owning a luxury car like mine, that's a pipe dream for you. Is this petty spite all you can muster against me, huh? It was hard to believe such pettiness came from someone about to turn 40, and I was utterly disenchanted. Layla and Aiden just smiled and nodded pleasantly in response to John's tirade. Yeah, John, your car is really something. I once wanted one just like it. But then I wanted something bigger, so I went with this one. Aiden said, moving his car that was parked next to John's. When John got out of the driver's seat and saw Aiden's car, his eyes widened. I'm not much of a car person, so all I could tell was that Aiden's car was huge. But to a car enthusiast like John, its impressiveness was clear. After all, it was originally a military vehicle, so its presence was overwhelming. That's amazing, and it's pretty rare, isn't it? John said with a forced smile. Overwhelmed by the sheer force of Aiden's car and thrilled to encounter such a rare vehicle, his emotions were all over the place. The woman also got out of the car. Wow! This car is so cool, way cooler than John's old man car. I prefer this one. John gave the tactless woman a glare, but soon noticed Layla's car parked on the opposite side. What he hadn't noticed in the darkness of the night was that Layla's car shone just as brightly as the morning sun, a beautiful yellow. I like domestic cars, especially sports cars. John was speechless at the sight of Layla's car, rumored to be among the most expensive of domestic sports cars. He had been coming to the car show where we met every day just to see that car. The arrival of two ultra-luxury cars shattered John's empty pride in an instant. Standing around talking won't do, let's go inside. I suggested, leading Layla, Aiden, a stranger woman, and a suddenly aged John inside. The living room turned into chaos. It was a weird mix, me and my best friends who just got married, my husband John, and John's unfaithful partner. Inside, John seemed to calm down, or perhaps his passion for cars was flaring up again. He didn't seem to realize he was in the middle of being called out for his infidelity. He just couldn't hide his fascination with Aiden and Layla's parked cars. Watching John, I let out a small sigh. I used to like that positive side of him. But that's all over now. Wanting to cut ties with John as soon as possible, I brought up the subject directly. John, I think you understand by now. I won't forgive your infidelity. Let's get a divorce. At my words, John barely raised an eyebrow, showing no sign of being shaken. I don't mind if we divorce. But aren't you gonna regret leaving me, Arya? His usual self-centered talk. I had somewhat expected John to respond like this. You can hardly do your job satisfactorily, you have no talent or trade. How do you plan to live without me? No matter how good you are at saving, I can't imagine you living a fulfilling life on your own. John said with a sneer. Yet, I faced him with determination. No matter what you say, I'm getting a divorce. Let's talk through lawyers from now on. To this, John laughed. What? You're not thinking about suing for alimony, are you? Go ahead, $20,000? $40,000? I'll pay whatever. You know where I work, right? A cutting-edge startup, the #1 in the industry in terms of attention? That means I'm getting attention from the world. I'm gonna be the guy who moves the world's money. Such petty cash, I can give it away easily. Aiden sighed deeply at John's boastful talk. Wow, John, that's impressive, working at such a great company and being so skilled. Moving the world's money is incredible. I'd love to hear what kind of work you do that allows for that. Encouraged by Aiden's words, John started talking more. No matter how much you try to one-up me with cars, someone like you wouldn't understand. Sometimes, you gotta play dirty to get the job. Since we're a company with money, skimming a little off the top for expenses won't get noticed. That's how I bring in the business, smoothly navigating through. Other employees are too scared, following the philosophy and only doing sales the proper way, but I'm on a different level. The unfaithful partner clung to John's neck, saying, John, that's amazing. Layla and Aiden kept a creepy smile while looking at John's face. Actually, we've been receiving complaints from other employees and clients about John's risky sales tactics. We have physical evidence, but if the person denies knowing anything, that's the end of it. However, we've got your admission now, it's game over. John, our company can't employ someone like you. You don't need to come to work tomorrow. John, with a confused look, listened to Aiden's words. John, it's over. Aiden is the president of the startup you work for. When John was considering changing jobs, Layla arranged for him to interview at Aiden's company. Aiden initially had a good impression of John because of his sales abilities. However, John also demonstrated deceitful and dangerous sales tactics. And that woman, she's the wife of a client's executive. We've received a formal complaint from them too. Oh, our company will be seeking double damages for the business you conducted fraudulently. We'll also report this to the police. Fraud? Embezzlement? Well, you'll be charged with something. John's face lost all expression as he babbled incoherently. Unable to say anything, he just opened and closed his mouth wordlessly. The woman who had clung to John was trying to sneak out of the house, but Layla caught her. Also, I've seen the dashcam footage. What angers me the most is someone insulting my wife. I don't care what you say about me. Regret insulting Layla for the rest of your life. Aiden's strongest words yet were directed at John. John was looking down, his face pale. John, you said earlier that Arya had no talent or skills, right? Didn't you know? Arya has been thriving as a designer at our company. She's incredibly talented. We thought it would be great to work with someone as important as Arya's husband, so we hired you. But that was a mistake. You weren't a good salesman or a good husband. Layla also gave John a cold, angry look. John, unable to retort, was trembling slightly. I was envious of John because he had many things I didn't. But he lacked the heart to cherish people, the most important thing for a human being. And he belittled and insulted my dear friend. I will never forgive that. Truly, goodbye. Tears streamed down John's trembling eyes. His pride, fragile despite its height, was now likely as shattered as desert sands. Ignoring John's sobs, I looked out the window at John's luxury car. I had wanted to ride in it at least once. But now, I'm glad I never did. The luxury car I once admired now looked like nothing more than a lump of metal. Wow, the lunch here is delicious too. I was enjoying lunch combined with a design meeting with Layla today. Watching Layla, who loves to eat, enjoy her food without a care in the world is pleasing. It's no wonder Aiden fell for her. But it's good, isn't it, that the divorce went through smoothly? Layla's words made me nod deeply. On that day, I had John leave the house. I heard he went back to his parents' home, so I sent the certified mail from the lawyer to his parents' house. Naturally, his parents were furious, and I received apologies from them. The dashcam footage proved useful, and I made sure to claim alimony from John and the unfaithful partner. The woman's husband, an executive at the client company, ended up paying in full, but whether John, who lost his job, can pay is honestly uncertain. But it wasn't the money I wanted. I had hoped to see John's true pride. Incidentally, that luxury car he had, there was no way John could afford the ongoing loan payments, so he had to sell it reluctantly. Naturally, the money from the sale went towards paying off the loan. Aiden's company plans to sue John for damages. However, Aiden, thinking of me, his former wife, said he wouldn't go through with criminal charges. I'm just deeply grateful to Layla and Aiden. Perhaps if John had friends like Layla and Aiden, he might have walked a different path in life. I hope that in the future, you live your life with a heart that cherishes others. Layla! How did it go? Are you okay? I rushed to open the door to Layla's room. Hey, Arya. Keep it down in the hospital. Look, he was born, isn't he adorable? In Layla's arms was a baby boy, who looked just like Aiden. 2 years after that, Aiden and Layla welcomed their first child. Aiden, Layla, congratulations! My words made them both smile shyly. In the warmth of a gentle sunbeam, I wished the new life all the best. May he grow up to be wonderful people like Layla and Aiden. I felt like the baby in Layla's arms chuckled softly.